Good morning. My name is Ruth Livingston, and I am lay clergy here at the temple, and I will be conducting this service. We were going to open with one of our cantors singing "Turn, Turn, Turn" to everything there is a season under heaven, but she's ill, so we'll just move on. We're gathered here today for the same reason, to honor the memory of our beloved Shoshana, to say goodbye to her, and to begin the work of mourning. We remember Shoshana Forrester Smith, wife of Brent, cherished for a long time. We join our hearts together to give comfort and strength to her family. Mourning is a time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Shoshana's life with the millennia-old traditions of the people of Israel and the eternity of God. Judaism has rituals for almost every imaginable event. Funeral customs are meant to help those who are left behind, to navigate those first days of acute grief and the following weeks of sorrow. Two acts of loving kindness remain for us now: to accompany the loved one to her final resting place and to comfort the mourners. Can there be a lament greater than that for a life lost too soon? In the depths of grief and despair, keep us strong so that we may help the stricken to regain strength. Help us to support them as they ask the inevitable questions. We grieve for what might have been, for joys unrealized, for tasks undone, for hopes thwarted, for growth arrested, for love blighted, or challenges unmet. Help us to bring consolation to the bereaved. Help us to raise them from the depths of sorrow slowly, lovingly. Help us to lead them from the night of desolation to the dawn of another day. Then the memory of our beloved Shoshana can return gently and peacefully to our hearts. Even in our grief, instructing us in the ways of living and helping us to find meaning in the mystery of life. So how does one respond to the loss of a loved one? There are as many ways to grieve as there are members of the human family. Some will weep incessantly, others not at all. Some will insist on a full 7 days of Shiva. Others will observe 3 days, or just 1 day, or none at all. Some will seek privacy. Others will find comfort in the company of fellow mourners and friends. Some will talk, tell stories, or share cell phone photos unceasingly. Others will listen or speak sparingly with their cell phones out of sight. Some will follow the blessings and prayers of a Shiva minion with fervor. Others will sit or stand quietly and respectfully with or without a prayer book in their hands. Some visitors will remain with mourning family members for a few minutes. Others will make an evening of it, and every evening of it. And some, for reasons too complex to pursue, will not visit at all. Templates for mourning? There are none. Each in our own way will experience grief and carry in us the soul of our deceased loved ones, thankful for their having been a part of our life. Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit that our loved ones gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of their light and their warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace. Death will come. We cannot enter in judgment with it. Our question why will always go unanswered. But this does not mean that we are helpless in the face of death. We can and we do rob it of ultimate victory by living our lives so that when death comes, it takes us from a world, one corner of which is a little better because we were there. We are all destined to die. We share it with all who ever lived, with all who ever will be. Cry for the dead, hide not your grief, do not restrain your mourning, but remember that continuing sorrow is worse than death. When the dead are at rest, let their memory be a source of peace and be consoled when the soul departs. A good wife, who can find? Her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and nothing shall lack. She renders him good and not evil all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is robed in strength and dignity and cheerfully faces whatever may come. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She tends to the affairs of her household and eats not the bread of idleness. Her husband comes forward and blesses her, and he praises her. Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Place before her the fruit of her hands. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. I know we have a number of people who are prepared to speak, to take part in the eulogies, remembering Shauna's life. Cindy, would you like to go first?
Good morning. Today we stand together to celebrate the life of my sister Shoshana. Her departure from this world has left an immeasurable void where her light once lit up all of our lives. While we share this grief, her love and light will live on in our hearts. For those of you who don't know, I'm Shauna's little sister, Cindy. Shauna always told me she wanted her funeral to be a happy place. She wanted people to laugh and smile one more time with her. Shauna's heart was made of gold. She would help anyone in need if she could. She would help people even if she knew they were probably going to take advantage of her kindness. She refused to let the poor character of others change the kindness of her own character. Shoshana was a beloved wife to her husband Brent. Their love for each other is what got them through the challenges they faced together, a love that some people only dream of having. Shoshana was an intelligent, talented, creative woman. She accomplished a lot in her life. She used her voice to advocate for change wherever she could. She was known for her healthcare advocacy, but she stood up for advocacy of all things, consumer rights, humanity in general. She taught me a lot about my self-worth, and that if something isn't right and you feel strongly about it, it is your duty to speak up for what is right. If you buy something and you aren't satisfied, it is your right to consumer resolution. Shoshana would say, silence equals consent. And that's what made her so brave. It was her determination to live the best life she could. It's easy to give up. It's easy to walk away when things get hard. To continue on when you feel like giving up is a battle she fought until the end. Shoshana never stopped living. She accomplished more from her bed than most people accomplish in their life. We must speak our truths always and fight for what we believe in. Every single voice matters. To honor her memory and build on her work, we can collectively and individually use our voices to advocate for what is right, no matter how small it is. Recently, Shoshana was awarded the King Charles III Coronation Medal for her work in healthcare advocacy. Shoshana didn't do it for the awards, for praise or admiration. She did it because it's the right thing to do. The real award to her was the good feeling she got, knowing that her voice helped not only herself, but others as well. Life is full of trial and triumph. What I've learned from her is that sometimes when you think everything is wrong, it is an opportunity and a sign that you are being redirected to a different path in life. The only way to get out of a challenge is to go through it. Shoshana loved so much, and with all her heart. She was a friend, a sister, daughter, an aunt, a mentor, an artist, among many other things. She believed in always sharing kindness, a quality that fueled our artistic collaboration to design art that inspires people, send a positive message, and just make people feel good. We believed together we could change the world for the better through our art. Over the years, we worked on the foundations of my own advocacy work, an important aspect of my healing journey. I was 19 when I met my sister, and although we did not grow up together and living 9 hours away from each other, none of that mattered. We had an instant connection. We talked every day, all day, for years. I went to visit her every 3 months. Her nurses and healthcare aides and all of her friends knew who I was. They would all tell me that they heard so much about me. They were delighted to meet me. Shauna was always telling me that she always bragged about me to her friends because she was so proud of me. The very first time I met Shauna in person, I went to Riverview, and when I was in the parking lot after our visit, she texted me saying, "You're so much prettier in person." She was my person and I was hers. Shauna found me when I was in a dark place in my life, and every day since, it made it brighter. She filled it with flowers and sunshine. These are the memories of her that I will always treasure. Shauna loved the people in her life so much. She was always worried about what would happen to everyone when it was her time to leave this world. She wanted to make sure everyone was taken care of. She turned her pain into passion and power. Shauna was a once-in-a-lifetime person. She carried unmatching beauty inside and out, her spirit unquenchable, and her strength immeasurable. Shauna, you are an inspiration to so many, and as we say goodbye, know that your love lives on in our hearts. Your spirit will continue to live on in the books we read, the art we create, the winds that guide us, and in the beauty of nature. May you rest in peace, pain-free. If love could have saved you, you would have lived forever. Goodbye, sis, and wherever you are, keep shining bright. And now I would like to conclude with one of Shauna's favorite songs, sung by our sister Carla.
Sorry. I'm so happy that we're friends, you and I never feel invisible when I'm with you. With you, I'm never one of the millions. Together in the light, I swear all for you. Tonight in the dark, we're seeing colors. Hey, I'm just like you, a little messed up in blue. Hey, I'm just like you. Thank you.
Thank you.
David?
I met Shauna and Brett for the first time, was the first time they came to this temple for Friday night service, as they sat right behind me and my late wife, Sylvia. Shauna tells me that we were so friendly, and that's why they joined the temple. I suspect it was my psychotherapist wife and her way with people that was the main attraction here. But okay, I'll take some credit. I then got to know them further when both became members of our board. And I realized how much they had to contribute to the temple because of their knowledge of social media and other assets that they each brought to our little community here. I next discovered that Shauna was quite an artist. Early in the COVID years, I got a postcard from her with a happy Pesach greeting on the back, saying she was thinking of me being all alone for the holiday since it was right after Sylvia died. I know all this because that postcard had an original painting by her on the front, depicting 2 tulip petals delicately drawn in white ink on a gold oval background. I liked her art so much that I saved it. Indeed, I'm looking at it right now because I keep it ever pinned to the cork board above the place where I type my writings. Fast forward now to one day, 7.5 months ago, after reading one of Shaughra's columns in the Free Press. On a whim, I sent her an email saying how much I was impressed with her writing and the way she could find humor in the oddest places. She quickly wrote back, and in her Shoshana way of asking, without being intrusive, she invited me to visit her and talk about writing, since she knew I was a published author and she liked to talk shop with me. But she also was mindful of how busy I must be with more important things than to visit her, and I would not hurt her feelings if I declined. I came. We talked. She later told me that she was initially nervous, thinking that we would spend time just looking at each other and waiting for the other to say something. Well, no. We talked, and neither of us shut up for over 2 hours. Can I come back again, I asked? Oh, yes. And so it went, with weekly visits, twice weekly visits, and more. We talked about writing, poetry, literature, and art, a topic also dear to my heart, having taught art history and being a kind of an amateur artist myself. This topic then brought in my 11-year-old granddaughter, Alexis, who is a very talented artist at her age, as some of you know because of pictures of her that I've sent you in your email. When I showed Shoshana some of Alexis's work, she was very impressed and gave me some art supplies she didn't need to give to Alexis. In a short time, a bond developed between them, as Alexis would draw a picture or a cartoon using the tools that Shoshana has supplied, and with a thank you note to Auntie Shoshana for her generosity. I could go on, but you see how Shoshana quickly became a deep part of my life in so many ways, as if we'd known each other for many, many years. I treasure the short time we had together. I'll ever remember the good times we had, even though she was trapped in her body, often racked with pain. In the end, I take comfort in knowing that I will repeatedly remember her every time, like now, when I'm sitting and typing, and occasionally pausing, looking up, pondering a thought, and there, in front of me, are Shoshana's sweet white tulips on the oval gold background, looking back at me and saying, "Hi, I'm still here."
Brent?
Bear with me, please. First off, I just want to thank everyone for being here. So many people, which I knew there would be because it's Shoshana. Still not enough, but it's a good start. A dozen different ways of doing this in my head, and I'll get to that in a minute. I just want to say a couple of things. And the first one is, like Cindy said, Shoshana wanted this to be a happy moment, which feels impossible, but what I'm trying to do, and what maybe I'll do, is just try to remember that Shoshana's not here with us now anymore, but she's always here in all these other moments in time, and she's here with me at home, stealing, the blankets in the middle of the night as she's staying on the beach in Hawaii, eating her pineapple shortbread, and she's in her bed just furiously typing on her phone, writing one of her 8 books that she completed. And she's everywhere in time, forever. And the second thing is the reason that, I've cycled through a dozen different versions of this in the past week plus is, I never had to speak for Shauna. I always just stepped out of the way because she had such a strong, clear voice, and she always knew what to say and when to say it, and how to advocate for herself and me and everyone who needed her, whether they knew it or not. And in the past few days, I've had to realize that now I had to step in and learn how to speak for her a little bit, and it's been very difficult, but she made it easier than it could have been, and she's left a very clear map for how to be. And I think if I could say one thing to everybody here, that Shauna can't speak any further, but we can all keep speaking and keep her spirit and her alive by speaking up, doing the right thing, and speaking for the people who need you and who don't have a voice, because that's what she did every moment, every day of her life. And now everybody here, we need to do that for her. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to offer their words? Shauna Forrester Smith, Shoshana bat Avraham V'Sara, died 10 days ago on Valentine's Day, leaving her husband Brent and her families and friends to mourn. Shauna had been a member at Temple Shalom since 2011 when she began her journey into Judaism with Rabbi Karen Soria. I was honored, along with David Topper, to sit on her Beit Din with Rabbi Karen at Riverview Health Center when she completed her conversion to Judaism. She and Brent subsequently had a Jewish wedding, and she had a bat mitzvah when Rabbi Bill was our fly-in rabbi. She and Rabbi Bill continued to be in touch regularly, and she treasured that connection, and he has sent this message. I fell for Shauna and Brent the first time we met. As a dinner guest in their Winnipeg home, I felt for their kindness and generosity. I fell for how they opened to me their minds, hearts, and spirits. I fell for them during each of my visits to Winnipeg and the time spent in their company. And I fell for them during those remarkable moments when they were married beneath the chuppah at Temple Shalom, and when Shauna was called to the temple's bar bima as a bat mitzvah. Notwithstanding her pain, frustration, and ongoing difficulties, Shauna never failed to greet me warmly and with enthusiasm. She never failed to start and keep up a good conversation. She never failed to stay active with books, films, writing, and art projects. She never failed to express her caring for Temple Shalom and for her Judaism. And angel that she was, she never failed to inspire others. May Shauna continue, for each of us in our own way, to be a part of our lives. May we always remember, may we always love, and may we always be thankful, because thanks to Shauna, we know that there really are angels. I met Shauna when she began attending services here and got to know her as she attended my classes in learning to read Hebrew, preparing for her bat mitzvah, and creating Judaica. We shared a passion for creating art, and she spent a few years painting with me in watercolor. As she became more bedridden, she turned to stamping and creating greeting cards, which many of us received. Mine too are on the fridge in my kitchen, so I see them very often. My favorites are those with a taste of her sense of humor and some were laugh out loud clever. Shauna had a great imagination and came up with various temple projects over the years. Some were environmentally focused, but all fell under the umbrella of Tikkun Olam, our mandate as Jews to help improve people's lives and to heal the world. Although bedridden, Shauna sat on our board of trustees for many years and took responsibility for posting to our social media. She also sat on our outreach committee and participated wherever she could. Since she began her Winnipeg Free Press column about the realities of our healthcare system from an insider's viewpoint, she reached a huge audience, and many, many of her readers became friends, sending her cards, letters, prayers, and presents, which cheered up her long days at Deer Lodge. I know she so appreciated all her visitors and all those who connected to her through her Free Press column. She felt so honored by her columns being nominated for a national award, and we look forward to that additional recognition of what she has achieved. Visiting weekly and having my reserved time on Wednesday afternoons gave both of us something to count on and look forward to. Shauna loved to tease me about my penchant for being too matchy-matchy, including my KN95 masks, and she always checked out my sparkly nails. She said, "I love you," every visit, and pretty much every email and text. She told me I was family to her, and in truth, I loved her too, and told her so often. I wanted so much to be able to hug her, but for the last few years, we could only share virtual hugs. I'm sure everyone close to her shared with me the frustration with her ongoing challenges not being met, and our helplessness in being unable to find a way to ease the physical and emotional pain she had to cope with. She was the bravest person I know, facing the bad hand she'd been dealt with such grace, and still having compassion for others, and keeping track of their lives' twists and turns as well. I am bereft, and I feel the loss of the huge presence she was in my life. My memories of her will be a blessing to me. For one small woman, she had a huge impact on her communities, those she participated in close up, and the larger community created by her outreach through her column and social media. I hope her advocacy continues to find an ear where it can make a difference. She deserves that. El malei rachamim, shochen bamromim, hamtzei menucha nechana, tachet kanfei ha'shechina. Fully compassionate God on high, to our loved ones who have entered eternity, grant clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold her in the embrace of your wings. Secure her soul in eternity. Adonai, she is yours, and she will rest in peace. And we say, Amen. Adonai, who may abide in your house? Who may dwell in your holy mountain? Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others, or wrong them, or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless, but honor those who revere God, who give their word, and come what may, do not retract, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. A good name is to be treasured above precious oil. Wealth, health, even life passes away, but a good name lives forever. It is this view that the Talmud teaches. Monuments need not be erected for the righteous, as their deeds are their memorials. They will be remembered and revered for the kindness they have shown, for the love they have given. They are shining examples of what it means to be a mensch. I don't know the female version for that. It means a good person. I'd like to call Reverend Michael Thiebert two sons to come up and offer his piece.
Good morning to you all. My name is Michael Thibert. My spirit name is Two Sons, and I'm of the Wolf Clan. And I received a referral from Shoshana about 7 years ago. I worked for Indigenous Health for the WRHA and Shared Health. And my referral indicated that the patient wanted to talk about Indigenous teachings. So when I met Shoshana, she was interested in discussing ceremonies and teachings around indigeneity and the spirituality around it. And when I let her know who I was and let her know that I am a Métis man from Saint François Xavier in Saint Eustache, who practices both indigenous spirituality and Roman Catholicism, she was taken by that. And she asked me did I have to choose between the two? I said, the challenge for me is finding a way not to choose between them, but finding a way of blending them. Because the two of them came together to create the creation of who I am today. It is not something that one puts apart. And that really got her interested in talking about what indigeneity and spirituality and around ceremony and smudging was. And so we did a smudge in her room in Riverview with sweetgrass oil, and we did an understanding of the teaching of sweetgrass, the blending and the braiding of Mother Earth's hair, the braiding of the seven sacred teachings given to us by our ancestors, of understanding of what love means, of how to respect one another, of how to live with humility, finding courage to speak in the face of danger and adversity, speaking one's truth and understanding that the truth is not always what we think it is, that it's an ever-changing understanding, of being honest with ourselves of where we are. Because along this journey of life, our goal is to seek wisdom and what are the teachings that come to us in our everyday life. Nothing is good or bad. Everything is just about what do we learn and how can we take the learnings of today and apply them to our life and apply it to everything else in our community. And we spent a lot of time embracing that and talking about that. I remember the first time walking into her room with her lights all around the ceiling and all of her paint supplies and her books and everywhere else. I thought I was walking into a very special space. And then she invited me to sit down and away we went. And she would talk and we would talk. And the last little while she was seeking to me for the last 3 or 4 years, she's been asking about doing a naming ceremony. And every time we would get close to a naming ceremony, she would say, it has to wait. I'm not feeling well, can we do it another time? And last year, we finally put on a date that we were going to do a naming ceremony. And I said, who would you like to invite to your naming ceremony? And she says, I just want it to be very few people. I don't want a lot of people there. I'm just going to make it small and intimate. So you are the small and intimate people coming to her naming ceremony. Her spirit name came to me 1.5 years ago, and I've been trying to get it into a ceremony with her. We can't do the full ceremony because normally we would light sage and we would do a smudge prior to that. But I offered to Paco this morning and I did a smudge before I came here as I opened the ceremony. So currently right now we are in ceremony. And we are going to honor Shoshana today with the naming ceremony. And it's attached to our drum. The drum, Shoshana really liked the drum. And the teaching surrounding the drum. One of the teachings within Indigenous spirituality is all of my relations. We see everything as having a spirit. Everything is alive. Everything provides for us. And it's tied to our creation story. That when Muskrat went down and gave his life for the bringing up of the mud for Star Woman who fell from the sky, to create the land in which we stand on, which is Turtle Island. And the first plant to grow in there was tobacco, to reminding us that when we seek something, we always seek what we need, never what we want. And therefore, when we take something from the rest of creation, we offer tobacco as a sign of respect for the sacrifice that has been given. And when we make a drum, we honor the strong ones, the trees, because they give their life to make the circle that will hold the drum. And we offer tobacco to the animals. In this case, it is a wolf that has given its life, and that's the skin we use, so that the voice of this wolf is never lost. When we play our drum, the voice comes back, and the voice continues to sing, and the voice continues to speak, to remind us that we are the sacrifices that have been made and the relationship that we are in. Constantly, we are always in relationship with one another and with the world around us. And so today we honor Shona with the teaching of the drum today, and to honor her in her spirit name of strong blue eagle woman. Being an eagle, being someone who likes to speak and is the messenger of God, the messenger of Yahweh, bringing the answers to our prayers to us in time of need. And if Shona was anything, she was an advocate of Yahweh's teachings in her writings, in her advocacy, and the way that she spoke with all of us. And so we honor her today. And I would ask all of you to take a moment to remember Shona. Remember a time, remember a memory, remember a conversation, remember a difference of opinion, and bring that to your heart as we honor her with the traveling song. The traveling song is meant to open the doorway to allow those that are moving from this world to the next a pathway home, to be with our ancestors and take their place with our ancestors in a place of wisdom, to continue to guide us along our path. We will honor the four directions as we do in indigenous spirituality, because our ancestors sit in all four directions. From this space where we sit, going in four directions either way, we are in company with all those that have come before us and who will come, and they continue to walk with us. Blue strong eagle woman, we set you free. May your spirit continue to soar and fly. May you be greeted by Yahweh to be escorted to your place amongst our ancestors. May you take your place amongst our ancestors to guide us, to teach us, and continue to let us know the love and the courage that we need to move forward in relationship with the world around us. Guide us to learn what respect and humility means, to speak truth and to speak honestly. May you always be with us. Be free, my friend, until we meet again. Miigwech.
May the source of life, the fountain of all being, open our hearts to compassion and our eyes to wisdom, that we might glimpse in perfect peace and sadness the way of all things. May Shauna's memory be for us a blessing, and may we never let the light of her love grow dim in our hearts. May we remember all of her worthy and righteous deeds, that her memory be forever bound up in the bond of life. Adonai is our source and our destination, our beginning and our end. May Shauna's death awaken us to this truth, that the bond of love we shared and share not be severed in sorrow. May she rest in peace, and together we say, Amen. Adonai, you who heal the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds, grant comfort and consolation to these mourners as they face their grief. Fill their lives with acts of loving kindness and truth, which serve as the genuine memorial to our dear Shauna. The deep bond of love will remain unbroken. At the end of the service now, it is traditional to recite the Mourner's Kaddish. It's a prayer that actually has nothing to do with death. It's a praise God prayer. It is up there. If you want, you can follow in the English so you know what it is I'm saying. We ask the family, the immediate families, to rise. And in our congregation, since the Holocaust, our congregation often rises with the mourners because there were so many who were left with nobody to mourn them. So if you would like to join us in Rise, you may. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, ve'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbi mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shmei d'kudisha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbi min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. I would ask the family to leave at this time. The pallbearers, please to be in the foyer at this time, and then the others may exit from the back. Oh, right. So the cemetery. That's just so funny that I didn't think to say that. Okay, so the interment is at our cemetery, Beit Chaim Mikdash Shalom, which is located at Chapel Lawn, near the funeral home, and will immediately follow the funeral. If you're not familiar with Chapel Lawn, it's located at 4000 Portage Avenue, and you take the first turn left after the perimeter on Portage Avenue. It's facing where the racetrack is. You turn left to go into the Chapelon area and then immediately right. And you just follow the signs to the funeral home where you can park. And our graveyard is actually right beside the funeral home, so it's easy to find. We'll be the group who are there. So we'll see you there if you are able to join us for the burial service. Following that, there is a meal of consolation where we can visit and share stories of Shauna and schmooze.